I'm going to introduce her as my fellow Filipina, Californian, multifamily investor, badass woman, Ciaara Hoffmann. And she's been in our network for a little over a year now. And she is kicking butt with her podcast, with her networking. And if you don't know her by now, shame on you. Now, if you just started, it's okay, but you will know her after today and you need to book some time with her. So please welcome Ciaara.
Hi, everybody. All right. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for inviting me today. And thanks everyone for being here. I'm really excited. And I'm glad that Cindy asked me to present on this topic because it is a topic that I get asked a lot about, which is how to launch a podcast. I'm actually going to share my screen because I have some slides to share with you guys. All right. You guys can see that?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So topic today is how to launch a podcast. I know that when I was going to launch my podcast, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it actually was. So it was relatively easy for me. I do have a background in marketing though. So that's why it was a little bit maybe easier. But I think if you can record a video and post it to social media, then you can start a podcast. So I think it can be as simple as that. And of course, if you want to do extra things, you can go above and beyond that. But if you just want to do the most basic things, then you definitely can do that too. So before we get into all of that, I just want to tell you about myself. I know that Cindy already gave me a great introduction, but this is me just over a year ago and my husband here, Boyd, on the right. So with Tyler. So we just joined Multifamily Mindset April 29th of last year. So it's been just over a year now, but my husband's actually known Tyler for about 18 years. And I told my husband, hey, I want to get into commercial real estate. How can we do that? And he just called Tyler and said, hey, we're going to come to your next training when you come to LA. And that's how we started. This is me on the left here, the short Asian one in the middle. This is me. I was a sales manager at Loan Depot, which is one of the largest mortgage companies in the country. And that's my team, or part of my team, I should say. So I did loans for the last few years, and I actually just left that to do multifamily full time. My podcast is down here at the bottom, Commercial Real Estate Bosses. So that's the name of my podcast. So before I actually go into the whole process of how to start your podcast, I want to talk about why even start one to begin with. So for me, the main reason why I actually started it is because I was trying to find a way where I can get sponsors to actually want to talk to me, reply to my emails, because, I was emailing them and then a lot of times they didn't always respond. Does anyone else have that experience, like sponsors not always getting back to you, or you're trying to reach out to them and see if they can sponsor you, but you're not getting that feedback? And so that's what I was going through. And one day I was like, you know what don't I start a podcast? And then I'll invite them. I'll be able to provide them value, right? So it's not just me trying to get them to sponsor me. Now it's like a two-way street. And at that point, once I had the idea and I actually launched it, it all happened within a week. I just felt everything was super aligned and everything was flowing and I was super excited. So that was my intention. It was talk to some heavy hitters in the industry and start building a relationship with them using this platform, which is the podcast. Okay, another really great thing you can do, obviously, is you can attract investors. And as I started my podcast, I didn't really have that as one of the reasons for doing the podcast. It evolved over time. One of my podcast guests, his name is Jennings Smith. He's also a really great multifamily real estate mentor of mine. And I had him on the podcast and he called me out after it was done. He was like, hey, you need to have a call to action on your podcast. I was like, yeah, I know, you're right. I definitely need to do that. So I started inviting people to download our free multifamily investing guide for beginners. And since then, I've actually just changed it. And now the new call to action that I have on there is to join my Commercial Real Estate Bosses community, which is an online community that I've created. I also have a 5-day passive investing course in there. So that way people can go in there and learn all the ins and outs of being a passive investor. Okay, so you might find that too. You want to have a call to action in your podcast and have a purpose for it, right? Another thing is that you get to build your brand. I was just in New York this past weekend at a 2-day seminar. I think some of the people that are on this webinar were there as well, right? And the speaker, he knew I had a podcast. I didn't even know that he knew about my podcast. I had no idea. But at the front of the room, he said, oh, talk to Ciaara because, she's got a podcast, and then suddenly like everyone in the room is wanting to come talk to me and my husband, right? And it just gives you that instant credibility. If people know you have a podcast, it's okay, she must be an expert. Let me go talk to her. So it's like having that instant brand and credibility right away. And the last thing that is a really great benefit as well is you get to learn a lot along the way, right? So as you're doing this, it's almost like free coaching, right? So basically, you're interviewing people, you're asking them all these questions, they're the experts, and you pretty much get like free coaching just by having them on your podcast. So you may notice if you've listened to my podcast that my questions may change just based on what I'm going through in my business and questions I have at that particular time, whether it's about asset management or raising capital or certain things that I want to learn about. I'll look for experts in that area so that I can get better at that topic. So this is the process of launching your podcast, right? So first, we got to find guests, we got to schedule them. So we'll talk about how to do that. Next, we're going to talk about recording your podcast. So how do you record that? The tools you need, all of that. So the hardware and the software that I use. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of links. And all that I ask is that if you do decide to move forward and you want to launch your own podcast, is that you can use the affiliate links that I give, because that's going to help me out as far as being able to continue to give free information and be able to share all of this and do free webinars for you guys as well. And then I'll talk about what tools you need to edit your podcast and also publish it online. And one thing I want to mention as well, as far as the structure of your podcast, so you can either do a solo podcast. You don't have to interview people. I prefer to interview people because that's my style. I just like to be the one that asks questions. I don't like to just talk to myself. But if you feel comfortable with just being a solo podcast person, you don't have to find people. And that could be a little bit easier because then you're not relying on other people to be online with you in order to move forward. So that might be a little bit easier if you're good with that. And then another option too is you can have a co-host, right? So if you and another person want to do it together. So for example, the Parishes and AM Multifamily, they have a podcast and there's 5, 6, or 7 of them all in one podcast episode, right? So there's multiple ways to do it, and it just depends on your personality type and what you feel most comfortable with. Okay, so let's talk about how do we find people to interview. So first place I started was simply asking people in Facebook groups. And so since my topic is commercial real estate, I started the MFM group, right? And the first person that I contacted was actually Fia Mosley, because at that time she was posting a lot of videos and content in the group. So she was at the top of my mind at that time. So depending on what your podcast topic is, it doesn't have to be real estate, it could be literally any topic you want, right? Just look for Facebook groups that are relevant for the topic that you want to do. And you can either just do a post in the group and ask for referrals, or you can start reaching out to people and send them direct messages if they are active and they seem to be doing really well in the group. So that's a great way to start. And then you can also go onto LinkedIn and find people who are experts in the topic that you're interested in. And you can go to other people's podcasts. You can go to my podcast. And if you like a certain person and how they did the show and the information that they gave, then you can just contact that person directly. If you go to my podcast and you're like, hey, I want to interview that was on my podcast, you can reach out to me and I'll do a warm introduction, and you can definitely do it that way as well. Right. And the good thing about that is, number one, you know that person is already interested in doing podcasts. And number two, you know that they would be good at it. Right. So usually you can also find their contact information in the show notes and reach out to them directly that way. And then lastly, you always want to make sure that you're asking all of your podcast guests for referrals. So create a reminder for yourself, whether it's at the end of your podcast, just ask them, hey, who do you know that would be a great podcast guest? We're always looking for new guests. Or you can also do a follow-up email after it's over, just as long as you remember to always ask for referrals. So now the easiest way to organize and schedule your podcast is to just use something like Calendly or some similar type of booking link. Number one, you're not going to go back and forth trying to email each other to book a time. It's like a waste of time doing that, right? And then secondly, it also helps me to organize all of my information. So I send them a list. They have to answer all these questions that you see on the screen before they can even book a time with me. So it saves me a lot of time and also helps me know who's serious, because they're going to have to fill out a lot of stuff before they can book a time in my calendar. So their phone number, in case there's technical difficulties, I need to text them or confirm that the appointment, make sure that they're on top of that. And then a bio, mailing address, so I can send them a thank you gift after the show, which By the way, thank you gift can just be as simple as a book. And I've done this, and it really makes an impact, especially if you're trying to get sponsors to notice you and recognize you, and you send them a thank you gift after the podcast. They're going to remember that. Topics and questions that they feel comfortable going over and talking about on the show. And also all of their social media links, so I can promote it in the show notes, and anything else that they want to promote if they have a book or also a podcast or something that they want to share. And then also I always include a link so that they can write a review on my podcast before the podcast happens. So I make sure to write, hey, did you review my podcast? And here's the link to do so. I also have a checklist of different ways that I might be able to help them in their business. I ask them, are you available to sponsor deals? Do you need help capital raising? Things like that. I'll let them check off the boxes that they're interested in working on. And if you guys want to see my calendar link, that's the link down there. I'm actually going to post in the chat right now a link to all of my slides. So that way you guys actually have the slides and you can click on it, because I know in Zoom you can't click. So you guys can go in there, click on the podcast link, and you can actually see all my questions that I asked there. Okay, just don't book an actual time with me, because I'll be really confused if you book a podcast. But you can go in there and just look at the questions that I ask, and you can see I have a requirement there that they have to have at least 100 units as a GP before they can book a podcast recording time with me. Now let's go into the tools that you're going to need to actually record your podcast. I'm going to go over first, like the hardware. Obviously, you need a microphone. Don't just rely on the microphone that's built into your webcam or your computer. You need to buy a professional microphone. Number one, if you're doing a podcast, it's a must, right? You need to have really high quality sound. You need to eliminate all the background noise. So there's some people I listen to, they have a podcast and they don't have a professional microphone, and I can hear all the background noise and it drives me a little crazy. So make sure you get a professional microphone. This is the one that I recommend. It's called Blue Yeti. And the reason I recommend this one is because I have a lot of different guests come onto my podcast, and I can hear the difference in the sound quality when I'm recording with them, right? And the best one I've ever had as a guest was a Blue Yeti microphone. And this particular investor and podcast guest, he had it where it was pretty much portable. So he would take it with him on the road and travel with, because it has this little stand here. It's like a USB microphone. So you can use it like portable for traveling, or like for me, I just have a physical setup here for my podcast. So this little arm just clamps onto my desk, which I like, because that way I'm not having to take up a bunch of space on my desk, because I have a very small desk. And then that way I can move it out of the way when I'm not using it. All right. And then this is like a shock absorber to help eliminate sound. So that way, if you have this whole setup, this is what I recommend. Okay, and this is my affiliate link. You can use a QR code as well. Use the Canva link I posted in the chat, and you can click on all those links in there. Okay, next, if you don't have headphones already, then I recommend getting headphones, because you want to eliminate any echo from the guests speaking and sounds coming out of your computer. I just use AirPods because I like to make them hidden under my hair. I don't like having those big bulky headphones in my videos. I don't like the look of that. So I like to have it more discreet. And that's why I use AirPods. So if you are a Mac user, it just makes sense to have AirPods anyways. So I recommend using these. They're the AirPods Pro are the ones that have noise cancellation. If you just get the regular AirPods, they don't have noise cancellation. So these are the ones I recommend. So next is a webcam. And so you might be wondering, like, why do I need a webcam if a podcast is just audio? I recommend that you record video as well as audio. Number one reason is because you want to repurpose your content, right? Eventually, what you want to do is you want to have the video go onto like YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then you want to take that 30-minute video and break it out into 5 or 10 different reels and post that on social media, right? Because reels are actually really important right now. Like in 2023, that's what is getting the most traction, most views. So if you're trying to get followers and investors and brand yourself, then reels are the easiest and fastest way to do that. Okay, if you don't have a professional webcam, make sure you have an HD webcam. I had a MacBook, and the MacBook is like a really crappy webcam. It's like not good quality. So make sure you have an HD one, at least a 1080p. It doesn't have to be 4K, because the video files will probably be too big anyways if it's 4K. So I think 1080p is good enough. And this is one that I recommend on Amazon as well. Next is lighting. Depending on how your setup is for lighting, my desk happens to be in a really dark corner. I don't have any recessed lighting above me, so I had to buy this called a Lume Cube. And I like it because number one, it doesn't take up any space on my desk. It's got a clamp at the end. You can change the warmth, the brightness, so you are able to adjust your lighting, which is important as well, depending on the time of the day. And then you can also turn it into a desk lamp. So this is the lighting that I recommend. And again, that's my affiliate link there for that one. Brittany's asking, can it be a Canon camera or it has to be a webcam? So I think as long as it can record like video, I don't know if the Canon camera does, I'm sure it does have a video function. I've never used that, but as long as it works like a webcam, you can hook it up to your computer and use it like a webcam, then that should be fine. Kim McCall says, that's the mic I bought for my podcast. Nice. So total, like all the things that I just mentioned, it's going to be total around $500. Obviously, you might not need all of it. Maybe you already have a professional camera or something like that, then you're good. But this is kind of like your startup cost, right? About $500 to get all the equipment that you're going to need to start your podcast. So next, this is how you are going to actually record your podcast. So this is what I use. It's called Riverside. I've tested out several different platforms. This one works the best for me. It's $19 per month. And you could use Zoom if you wanted to, and you don't want to spend $19 a month, then Zoom also works. I just like this one better because there's no loss in the audio or video quality because it records locally to your computer and to your guest's computer. So there's no lag having to transmit data over the internet. So a lot of times your guest is also going to have a slow internet connection and you can have issues with that. But at least with Riverside, you don't have any lag. The downside for this is there's no virtual background. All right. So you can see like behind me, I had to decorate my background. So I did spend a little bit more than $500. I bought a new computer. I bought all these decorations and this desk behind me. I probably spent at least $1,500 or more because I had to buy a new computer and everything else. If you want to test out Riverside, they do have a free version of the account. So you can play around with it and see if you like it or not. And then this is the link if you guys want to test it out. And if you do decide to use it, then you'll probably want to upgrade at least to their $19 per month plan because that eliminates the watermark and also lets you record more than 2 hours per month. So next, let's talk about editing your podcast. I kind of get excited about this. I used to hate editing, but now I'm like excited because now I use this AI tool to edit and it saves so much time. So this is literally my favorite tool right now, just for anything like editing videos, even creating my reels. I can do that all on here as well. So basically what it really helped me a lot with was eliminating a lot of the awkward silences and all the filler words. People have like, and, and like all of those words, they happen a lot. I'm just going to show you guys actually an example. So this is Descript. This is what it looks like. And I'll just show you how quickly you can eliminate all the filler words. So at the top here, you just click on remove filler words and you can see there's 586 results, right? All these ums and uhs and you knows down here. And all I have to do is hit apply to all. Now it's all gone. So 0 results. They're all eliminated in like a second. Same thing with word gaps. So word gaps is basically just awkward silences. So you can just decide how long the silences are that you are comfortable with. I go down to 1.25 because I've done a lot of editing. So I know what, length of time I want. So anything that's over 1.25 seconds, I shorten that down to half a second. And there's 13 results in this one. So I'm just going to hit apply to all. And that gets rid of all of the awkward silences. Now, if you want to delete text because, there's like things that happen in the middle of a podcast, someone knocks on the door or something happens like that, then you can literally, all you have to do is just delete the text. So right here, this is not the podcast. This is like me telling him he has a lot of background noise because he's literally recording this on a construction site right now. So he bought a boutique hotel and he's recording from the construction site of his hotel that he's renovating. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So if you want to delete that, you can literally just hit delete and that's gone from the video. And now it's just, hi, everybody. Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Bosses, that kind of thing. So that's how easy and quick it is to edit your podcast. And I definitely recommend this because things are going to happen where people are going to mess up in the middle. And this is just an easier way to do that. One thing that is really cool about this as well is something that's called overdub. And overdub basically means that you can get an AI to copy your voice and then talk for you just by typing the text, right? So instead here, like if I wanted to change commercial real estate, let's say I wanted to change that and say multifamily instead. So I hit here, I would click on overdub. So I have several stock voices. So you have to upload like 30 minutes of your own voice into the software, and then you can do this. So now I hit overdub, and I'm just going to change that to say multifamily instead because I messed up or something. Now it's going to think a little bit and it's going to change. It's going to use my AI voice and replace that word with multifamily. So that's the coolest part of the software. You could do it to like have whole sentences and whole paragraphs, but I don't do it for that because it does sound a little robotic. But if you do it for just one or two words, like you don't even notice. So it works really well for that. It does a lot more. I'm not going to go through everything that it does, but definitely recommend going into Descript and getting that. Okay. So anyone have any questions? Everyone following along so far?
On that Descript,
Yeah.
you make all the changes. Do you actually review the whole video before you actually post it?
So it's up to you because what you can do, it's so easy because you can read everything and you can see like, I do listen to it because I like to make sure everything is spelled correctly. I'm like a perfectionist that way. So I actually will. You don't have to if you don't care, like if there's a misspelling or something, because it's not 100% as far as these words are. You have sometimes there's like a mistake, like here where should be STR and it's kind of messed up looking. So it's up to you if you want to go through and do every single little thing. There is a cost to Descript. How much is it? I think it's not a lot. I think it's like $19 a month. So it's pretty low.
Okay, thank you.
And then Mary's asking how long. So I usually try to stay like less than 30 minutes. For some people, it's as low as 15, just because it's like I'm asking them questions. It's not really going anywhere. Their answers are so short that I'll go as low as 15 minutes sometimes. And then when I'm interviewing someone like Tyler Devereaux, he goes on for 40 minutes. So I try not to go over that, but less than 30 minutes is good. But of course, there are still some podcasts that are like hours long. It's really up to you. It can be 5-10 minutes long. It could be hours long. But I find for me personally, I like to do it under 30. I don't think a lot of people have capacity to listen to an hour long thing. So next, this is where you would actually post your podcast. So how do you actually get it onto Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and all those places? Is you're going to use something like Buzzsprout. Okay, so what is Buzzsprout? Basically, it will schedule all of your podcasts for you on every single platform. So you just have to upload it one time into Buzzsprout and it'll disperse it to all of the platforms. So let me just show you actually what it looks like because I have it open here. So this is my Buzzsprout account. So once I upload it into Buzzsprout, then it goes out to Apple, Spotify, Google, like all of these places instantly. Even down here, there's a few more. So this is the easiest way to manage it. That's why I said it's easy as uploading your stuff into social media, because all you got to do is record it and then post it into Buzzsprout. You might have to do a little description of it, and that's about it. Just throw it in here. The nice thing about Descript is that it will actually publish it directly. So if you go into Descript at the top, you click publish. Buzzsprout is an option. So that way you don't have to wait for it to export your video or your audio. It'll just go directly into there. So it's a lot faster than having to export it and then upload it. And then if you use this link here for Buzzsprout, you do get a $20 credit. You can sign up for a free account, just test it out. And then once you're ready to go and you want to launch it, then you want to upgrade to the paid account. Because Buzzsprout, if you do a free account, they'll only keep your audio for 90 days. But if you upgrade, it's like $12 a month. So that pretty much with this $20 credit, it's almost like the first 2 months would be free. And for those who actually just joined, I'm going to go ahead and post the link again to my slides. So that way you guys actually have all my slides, and then you can click on the links that are in the slides. So Molly's asking about YouTube. That brings me to my next slide. So this is the last tool that I would recommend. This is an optional one. This is for video. Right? I use Restream because it'll automatically post my video to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook for me. And it actually posts it like a live stream. So even though it's recorded, it'll look like I'm actually live. So I actually have 6 months worth of podcasts already recorded. So I can go till the end of this year and not have to worry about having to record another podcast. And that's because I have only releasing like one podcast per week. I could do like twice per week if I wanted to, but I like not having to stress about recording a podcast every single week and always trying to find new people to interview. So Restream is how I automate the video part. It goes out every Tuesday at 9 a.m. on my Facebook, my LinkedIn, and my YouTube. So if you follow me on any of those platforms, that's how I do it. And then Buzzsprout, you can also schedule it to be on the same schedule as well. So it can go on Buzzsprout same time, Tuesday at 9 a.m. every week as well. And if you want to use this link here, this is going to give you a $10 credit for Restream. They start at $19 a month. I'm just going to go that in the next screen. It's all the prices for everything that I mentioned is right here. So Riverside is 19, Descript is 24, Buzzsprout is 12, Restream starts at 19. And then it goes up just depending on how big the video files are. So if you're going to do like a 1 hour long video, you're probably going to have to pay like the $99 a month because of how big the video is. But if they're short, then you can get away with a smaller account. All right. So you're looking at about maybe $74 to $154 per month if you get all those things that I mentioned. Oh, and then also Descript will publish directly into Restream for you as well. So that way you don't have to wait for the video to export and then upload it, because that can take hours sometimes. If anyone has ever edited a video before, like it can take forever. But with Descript, it'll automatically publish it into Restream and Buzzsprout for you to save you a lot of time. Okay, this is my bonus right here. And this is my virtual assistant. I do have a VA. I pay her about $6.50 per hour. She lives in the Philippines and I'm from the Philippines. That's why I like to help my people out. Also, people that speak really good English as well. So that's why another good reason to hire a VA from there. But she does messages people that I want to have on my podcast. She'll get their headshots. She'll create all my social media assets, podcast covers. She will email them a week before the podcast goes live and send them just a template email that I send to everybody along with their social media posts that they can use. And then once the podcast is live, she shares the links and everything that they can share with their community. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys. I'm open for any more questions you guys have. I also want to invite you guys to join the online community for commercial real estate bosses. It's a free community. And then inside, I'll have all of my previous webinars and all my future webinars are inside there. We just launched this a couple of weeks ago and we have about 100 members in there so far. So this is where I mentioned I have the course, the Passive Investing 101. And then I also have different webinars in there as well. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Gail says, not a camera person, but why not try everything? Yes. It's a really great way to build your brand.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to write it in the chat. I'm going to say I absolutely love Ciara's attention to detail. Oh my gosh. And you don't use her links for those credits. Shame on you, because she deserves it. Get your discount, get her some support, and we appreciate all of this information. I know you all have been talking about podcasts at one point or another. And I'm hoping that this inspires you. Maybe you want to get on Ciara's podcast as well. But that was awesome, Ciara. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, Molly, do you have a question?
I do. Yeah. Thank you so much. I love that you just broke it all down for us for exactly what we needed. Question on the video, when you talked about that it goes up as a live stream, is that something that, I know it's pre-recorded, but when you say it's a live stream, can people ask questions and then you answer them, or how does that work?
Yeah, people can, because this is a Facebook video, right? So if you're logged into your Facebook account and someone comments on it, then you can reply back just in the comment section. It's not live as in you can reply. Obviously, it's a video, so you can't like do that part, but you can reply in the comments as it's live. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I think earlier when you were talking about the Riverside, I think you did mention it said record 2 hours per month. I wasn't sure.
For the free account. Yeah. If it's for a free account,
Okay.
then you have to upgrade. I think it's $19 a month if you want to do more than just the 2 hours. Yeah.
Oh, got it. I guess I messed that free account part.
Yeah. So you could start off with just test it out, right? Because you can sign up for the free account with the link that I sent. And then if you want to use it because you're like ready to go, then you can upgrade it to your $19 a month.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all this information. It's like pretty cool. It's nice.
Yeah. You're welcome. And let me know if you guys have questions after this. Feel free to reach out.
and join our community too.
Yeah.
Brittany, you have a question.
Yes, I have a question. Hi, Ciara. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Do you post the video podcast and the audio podcast on the same day, or do you like separate the days?
No,
Like,
I do it everything at the same time. So at Tuesday at 9 a.m., I want everything to go live at the same time.
got it. Okay. So thanks.
I have a question for you, Sarah. Would it be a conflict of interest if we used your VA too, so she could work more hours?
She might need more hours. I think she works another job, let's say 30 hours or something though. So I don't know how much capacity she has. So it just depends. But if she has capacity, then yeah, for sure. Because she knows me and she's got the podcast thing dialed in.
If you've never
great.
used a VA, you should, because it's so much helpful and you get more work done. But I've always used them for sourcing deals, cold calling, as well as basic bookkeeping. And mine are all from the Philippines as well. So I get to practice my Tagalog.
I can't speak Tagalog though. So
I
still
can teach you with
English.
that.
Yeah, Gail and Marichelle can teach us. But yeah, we like to help other people out in other countries. And even though you think $5 to $8 an hour is cheap, it's like their bread and butter. So they absolutely appreciate working for us.
Yeah. For them, it's a lot. It's different. $1 is 20 pesos or something. So it's like a big difference.
I have a question on that. Since we're talking about the virtual assistant,
Yeah.
how do you actually just deal everything with through Upwork as far as like the paperwork, getting them on board, like payment and stuff?
Yeah. Payment, I do everything through Upwork. Just because it's like easier. You can do it through PayPal as well. I've done that before in the past where I just paid them through PayPal. The thing with Upwork is it's automated. Like every week they charge you at the same time. Whereas PayPal, you got to like go in manually and pay them. And PayPal has lower fees for them. So they actually get paid more. She wanted me to pay her on Upwork though, because she wants to get the credit on her profile and stuff. But they actually take a 10% charge away from the VA. So we don't pay for it. It's the VA that ends up paying for that charge.
Okay, maybe this would be like another topic for our meeting. Just to
Oh, yeah, VAs, yeah, it's a whole topic. Yeah.
I want to tell thank you though. This was great. This is a lot of good information. Me and Jennifer plan to start one very soon. And I think this totally helped us. So I appreciate you giving us all this information. It's absolutely wonderful. And I'm definitely on a call with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
This will be reposted on our page. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for showing up.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.